Welcome to another edition of FUTStock, where we discuss all things FIFA Ultimate Team. I am Matt Aguilera.
And I am at Metz Lamborn.
Ooh, and I'm so rejuvenated by a little break. I've been looking at the television and seeing that our new overlord himself, Donald Trump, has been voted into power. But I am so positive this week, even I've got a smile on my face at the news. Wonderful. What's going to happen next then? Well, let me tell you all about it. We've got Movember. Movember is insidiously infected FIFA. What's going on? Is this a bit of community fun, or is it a shameless cash grab? I wonder which side of the fence Metz is on. Black Friday is approaching, so yes, there's going to be a market crash come. Is it going to be big, or is it going to be small? Metz is going to tell you all about it, and I'm going to nod along and smile politely. And then also, we're going to have a new strategic epiphany that's going to come from me. Yes, I have positive news to share to you about tactics within the game and a few tips and tricks that are going to help beginners and some advanced players. But if you're experts, why are you watching us? There's lots more content out there.
That's the point, actually.
Indeed. And also, we're going to be looking at FUT Champions. It needs to be spoken about. There's new qualifying criteria, awards, the new schedule, our marquee matchup predictions, of course, and our novelty inform of the week, where I sing a little song. So, Metz, we've got to talk about Movember starting off. We're in November. We boo for not participants of Movember. We appreciate what Movember do out there for men, particularly with prostate cancer. No one can obviously say that it's like a bad idea to get people talking about it more and this, that. But somehow it's in FIFA, and there's very little message apart from that, actually. So, how are you feeling about it all, Metz? I'm guessing you're a bit, what's the word? You're not feeling that good about it.
No, actually, you'd be surprised.
Okay.
All is not clear yet as to exactly what EA are intending, because they've put a bunch of Movember players in packs, and they impacts for quite a long time compared to your average team of the week. I think they're going for the best part of the month. So they've obviously got something big intended towards the end of the promo that isn't clear yet, whether it's squad building challenges or special tournaments or something like that. So in contrary to how we were feeling at the end of FIFA 16, where I wasn't happy about the number of informs being introduced to the game, specifically really strong ones like repeatedly getting Suarez and Ronaldo's and stuff like that. I actually really like it when they put in novelty informs. So it gives us an opportunity to take a look at players that we wouldn't normally use. And there's loads of interesting players in the Movember squad. And essentially, it's a small upgrade. So most of them are going for discard price, but it introduces some extra cards into the game. People get a new colour to play with who like building colourful squads, that sort of stuff. So as it stands, I don't have a problem with it in terms of how it affects the game. It's just what were EA actually intending when they were doing it. And I think some people obviously felt that when it comes to bona fide charity initiatives, EA should just stay away from them and stop trying to make it part of their money machine within FIFA 17. But as it stands, I'm all for it. I've actually packed one. Ryan, who's the Australian goalkeeper who plays for Valencia. So I'm sort of set for that. I also did the squad building challenge to get the special version of Rodriguez from Wolfsburg. So I've got a couple of them. I'm kind of ready to go. And I might even pick up one or two more if the need fancies, but I'm a little bit short on change at the moment because I shelled out for Crespo finally after saving for the last 7 weeks to get him. But yeah, it's something I'll take a look at, but I'm quite curious to see what EA's full intention is for Movember. But I'm certainly not growing a mustache because I can grow a half-decent beard, but I have a shit ginger tash that barely amounts to anything, even with days and days of growth. So we know Movember in my house.
Well, here's the reason why I don't take part in Movember. And it's nothing to do with the initiative.
Because you're a gringo all year round.
Well, there is that factor. But here's the thing. My birthday's in November. It's already been and gone, so you can't wish me happy birthday now.
Happy belated birthday, Matt.
Oh, thank you so much. I wasn't expecting that. But yes, in all seriousness, yeah, I don't want a mustache for my birthday. It's a very personal thing. I agree. But let's concentrate on FIFA's aspect. I like the looks of the cards, by the way. The actual like brown and kind of light gold, like bronzy colours that they are.
Got like a classic barbershop sort of.
Exactly. I think that's very creative. I like the thing. But let's use this as an opportunity to talk about the Ultimate Scream and the Movember. I like the fact that they're using outside events to make more teams and make more players available. And like you say, it's people like Gomes, Jedinak, Cornthwaite, whoever that guy is. You know, and of course there are like Matuidi and Ibrahimovic in there as well. But most of these guys are ones that you wouldn't go out to get, and you get a little boost of the player. And obviously it's a nice surprise when you pack one. So I did pack one as well, actually. On a pack with only one rare, which was quite impressive.
Wow.
I got Joe Ledley and sold him immediately because he's Joe Ledley.
Ooh, I would have kept that just in case he gets a Joe Allen sort of special challenge for Player of the Month. We'll come to that a bit later. But yeah, no, I don't blame you. I mean, one good thing about these is most of them are discard price. So if you pick them up, they're pretty much risk-free. So that's always a good thing. It's always nice to cash in 10k on a pack that didn't really cost you anything.
Yeah, I mean, I got 14k for Joe Ledley. He's never going to go for more, unless, of course, there's a wild squad in the future. But don't forget, he's only a 1+. He's a 75 to 76. So.
Yeah, it's not a fully fledged inform as such, is it? It's just
no, so like now, the informs, which is, you know, we're talking about all kinds of things here, really, aren't we? About the infrastructure now of Ultimate Team. It's not usual now, apart from the very best players, 86 and above, maybe 84 and above, for them to get a just +1 upgrade. They're getting like +3, +4, +5 in some cases as a first inform. So these novelty cards, they are a novelty. The actual card itself looks good. But I'm pleased that they're trying to do these kind of things. And obviously when you combine that with squad building challenges, there's actually a lot of value there. There's actually a lot of extras. So I'm all for it from that perspective. It hasn't really had much effect on the market, though, as far as I can tell. Nothing apart from those players will have gone up a tiny bit there, non-informed cards. But could you really have foresawn that Jedinak would be in a Movember special team?
Well, not specific players, maybe, but a few people I sort of talked to in the community did anticipate that they'd do something for Movember, and they were buying up, you know, bearded and mustachio players in advance in anticipation of a squad building challenge that didn't really happen. So people like your Joe Ledleys and your Jedinaks would have been ideal. I think who's the Brazilian midfielder at Wolfsburg always has a shit tag. Yeah, players like that. So they're just picking up them, speculating, and I don't think a lot of money was made there. But it's good that the way that EA are doing these little promotions this year has us all speculating, trying to guess what's coming next, and that does have a bit of a stimulus effect on the market.
Yeah, so, it's a good point. I mean, I'm looking forward to what they do for dry January. Maybe they could have like some reformed alcoholics put in packs. I can't think who's actually a reformed alcoholic in football, but there will be some of them. Like an 11 of players.
Tony Adams legend card.
Yes. And Paul Mason.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. So, but jokes aside, there's going to be something that goes on at Christmas, for example. They're going to do some special packs there with people and stuff like that. So I like that adds to it. The more squad building challenges they bring out, the better. I mean, to round that off, there's never been a better time to like buy players, keep hold of them, and wait for someone to come off. Because even if you don't make money on them, you can use them squad building challenges, and you can get cards. Like even if you're a casual player who plays every now and again, and you get a few players here or there, and you do a squad building challenge, you can still keep getting packs. It's wonderful.
Yeah, as far as like pack opening, whether it's through squad building challenges and all that goes, they've hit the nail on the head this year. So Movember, I was a bit skeptical about it initially, as you would be because it's charity related, but so far so good. I'm sure something better is to come towards the end of the month. So let's see what happens there. Smashing.
Talking about the end of the month, we're going on to Black Friday. It's a thing that, been celebrated for years in America and Canada. I used to live in Canada, True story. And
sorry, bro.
It's made its way to the UK thanks to Amazon. They were one of the first people I remember doing a Black Friday sale. So what usually happens is that Black Friday is respected and something special happens. Usually there's pack openings and lightning rounds, that kind of thing. And as we know, one of our key tenets is that if there's more packs being opened, that creates more players, which therefore creates a crash in terms of prices. So Metz, given what we've known from our last few FIFAs, we're probably going to see a squad building challenge that we can speculate on, but what we will see is a decrease on players, particularly players of 84 rating and above, the ones who go for more than discard.
Yep, nail on the head. This happens every single year, so we're not coming up with some sort of revolutionary thing, but perhaps people just need a reminder. When Black Friday occurs, loads of special pack promotions. They're more than likely going to do some special card variants, given the way that EA have been so far this season. And so if you have any sort of player that goes for, let's say, above 5k, so you're talking about particularly players like your Pogba's, Ibrahimovic's, Messi's, Ronaldo's, Suarez's, etc., you really should consider selling them now whilst they're still at peak market value, because they'll probably go down at least 25-30% over Black Friday, and you can just buy them back and then pocket a little bit of the profit as well. So we're getting the warning out with a reasonable amount of advance notification here that if you have very valuable players in your squad, particularly if you're not using them frequently, consider selling them now. Get as much money as you can, and you can either use that cash to open packs or buy the players back when the crash occurs towards the end of the month, and you will be quids in. It happens every year. It never fails. It's just a matter of getting the timing as right as best you can. We think now is probably going to be the last sort of weekend where prices hold at their absolute highest value, at their peak. From now on, people will start preparing for this, and the prices are slowly going to plummet towards whatever happens on Black Friday.
Absolutely. And the one thing I will say is a trend we've seen. I can't believe I'm doing this because now we have video, but this is the trend pretty much. Does that help anybody? Show them a graph, Metz. I'm sure it'll do much better than I can. But as a trend, the players are kind of shifting up and down, up and down, up and down. But the actual trend on a month, if you look at it, is actually down. So, yes, please make sure that any of your players who are a bit tasty and you can get money for, sell them. Would you say this weekend, Metz?
Yeah, I would say this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. It makes no sense because you'll get a tiny bit of increase because weekend prices are always a bit more expensive. So put that on your list. Make sure you take care of it. Don't say we didn't warn you. Yes, there will be a squad building challenge. Maybe it'll be God knows what will be to do with, because it's called Black Friday. Don't want to go down that road. Yeah.
Trump is a racist.
No, I'm not. No, I just said Black Friday. It's all I said. It's all I said.
What are they trying to imply by calling it Black Friday?
I mean, people with like black hair or something. I don't know.
Or is it a certain population can't afford things other than this one day of the year? I mean, what's going on? This
is going down an awful route. I'm going to banish this. Let me get my cross out because I'm such a good Christian. And, here's some tango to serve as holy water. There we go. No more. It's done.
I mean, I'm sure this will be the next thing that the SJWs get their mitts on. Why is it called Black Friday? And why is it referring to the sort of masculine?
So we talk about why it's called Black Friday. I don't know if this is a myth, but this is what I've always believed why it's called Black Friday. Because companies are typically in the red all the way through the year. They do Black Friday, which then gets their accounts into the black.
Oh, I'm so glad that was a real explanation.
Oh, God, you think I was going to say something? It would have been a joke, of course, but something rude. No, not at all. No. So there you go. That's where Black Friday comes from. It's about
enough Black Friday. I think.
What was that, sorry?
Enough Black Friday.
Oh, enough Black Friday. I think you tell us more about Black Friday. Have you ever seen that film, Friday?
I've seen Friday, next Friday, and the Friday after next. And the first one's the best one by far. The second one's okay.
I like them all. Wonderful. Okay, so we have to move on to my... Oh, it's a good film, that is. Strategic Epiphany. I don't know where to start with this, Metz. There's a lot to talk about. So, obviously, it comes from reviewing my own play. And
shall we give people some context before we get into this? Because for much of the gap between this and the previous episode, the pair of us haven't played that much because we've been playing Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered. So we've sort of taken a deliberate break from FIFA.
Yes.
you've gone back to it and you've found a rich vein of form, and you're obviously going to share your findings with the masses.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Metz. Just for a little second, is anybody out there thinking about buying Infinite Warfare? Don't buy it. Just don't do it to yourself.
Don't go any further than that. We're on a good positive tone here.
Oh yeah, don't share your opinions if they're honest and they don't negative. Don't do that.
We can't say anything bad ever.
Yeah,
anyway.
Ever. But no, that's just my opinion about Infinite Warfare. Very disappointed. As you can probably remember a few episodes ago, I was saying I was looking forward to that. It's something I could play something else that I could play and get my mind on FIFA. But obviously I went back to FIFA because Infinite Warfare is shit. And I've made some amazing epiphanies. I'd like to share them with you. So I hope you're sitting down and you're ready for it. It's started off with actually observing my play and looking at where things have gone wrong for me. I relied a lot on dribbling. And the dribbling system is now a lot more clunkier thanks to input lag, and also the input system has changed to make you do certain dribbles like tight dribbles and close dribbling and that kind of thing. So you have to move with the system or say the system's broken. So of course I've chosen to move with the system. And what I've discovered is that I made the epiphany that obviously if you can't dribble very well, then wingers aren't actually that important.
That's a good point, yeah.
So, and the way I've been playing, obviously I found wingers to be quite troublesome because I can't do the same things that I could before. And so obviously I can hate the game, or I can actually try and change the way I play. So that was my first thing. And then obviously we talked about the park the bus conundrum. So many people are parking the bus, and obviously that puts us in a situation where we get more possession than we ever could do. And so what you need to do, obviously your fullbacks become incredibly important as part of that. So that's a bit of a segue. It's a different issue actually, but with part of the buzz, you should be bringing your fullbacks as far up the field as you can and bringing them into midfield and squeezing them in to have an extra man in midfield, and should be carrying the ball that way. Carry the ball a lot more with your fullbacks. That's a big tip. So from all this, that was going to be my big thing to reveal, but from that, we've actually built a whole system, a wide system on the custom tactics that is a 4-1-2-1-2 system. That's the one that's got narrow midfielders. It's the old Milan formation when they used to have Gattuso, Seedorf, and who else was there? Gattuso, Seedorf,
Ambrosini.
No, I'm not Ambrosini because it's Ambrosini go where Gattuso was. So you got Gattuso as defensive midfielder.
Pirlo, Kaká.
Pirlo would also go in there as well, actually, wouldn't he? Yeah, so Kaká or Rui Costa at one point would be there. So it's a lovely form of the midfield. Anyway, went with that system, thinking that, you know what, I just need more of that. Crossing is good on this version, but I don't get the opportunity to cross as much as I'd like to because I find dribbling much tougher to execute. I'm not saying you can't go out and do it, but I'm talking from my experience that dribbling executions are much, much harder. So what I found is that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to play complete possession. And that's what I started to do. And I started to win quite regularly. And then I had 2 back-to-back games where I got the system right and the width was coming from the fullbacks. And I used actually possession, so down and then left on your pad, to make people scrunch up. No team pressing, by the way, so nobody's actually pressing up the pitch or anything like that. And also free form, so if anybody does go out in the formation, they will go and take their place. So using that, I started to get 71% possession in a game with like 3 and 4-0 wins. That's not been like a one-off. Back to back, I even had messages from people which say I'm making it up if I like, but I've got no reason to make it up, saying things like, you know, you're sick. And I thought they actually thought that I was ill, like, you know, I need to go to the doctors because they knew about my ailments that I have in life. But no, probably it means I was good. So I took that and I've built upon it. I've built this system all around possession because what's one of the easiest things to do on FIFA right now, Metz? Pass the ball.
Keep them past the ball, yeah.
Keeping past the ball is one of the easiest things you can do. So I haven't moved into a system that's difficult. I've moved into a system that's simple. And because of the way that the AI works and the off the ball runs, the actual computer, when you get the possession of the final third, works for you. And because obviously you don't have to use wingers then to go into the wide area where you need to dribble more, you can actually use a lot more passing and through balls in the final third to actually make more chances. So make back to chances. And the one thing that you have to do is keep the ball. And obviously that completely discourages people from using part of the balls early on. Because they can't. Because I played one game where someone did that to me. They're doing counter-attack and then they switch to high pressure, which you must be able to tell the difference when people doing that and work accordingly. And they just passed the ball around. I mean, I did like 100 passes or something ridiculous in one game. I must have done. I didn't count it. But so to sum up that system and then go into a bit more detail after Metz has tried to question me for the detail. 4-1-2-1-2-2 possession with a wide defence on cover with free form has completely changed my fortunes. And I have a system where I feel like a world beater. I am not. Well, I'm on a rich vein of form. It doesn't mean I've still lost matches, but that's where the system hasn't worked because somebody's been able to pick it apart. But this is very good against most players. If anybody's trying to high pressure or go fast, if you can get possession, you can get it working. You must know where to put the ball and play triangles. Like if they're pressing high, you need to get it away from where they're pressing.
You need to decide what your next pass is whilst you're waiting to receive the current pass that you're making. So you can
it's very simple to do on this FIFA. So you've got to move with how the game is going, of course, or admit defeat. Which is I admit defeat trying to be the dribbler, 4-star skiller, 5-star skiller that I used to be. I am now playing this passing, and it's turned out to be quite wonderful. I'm quite stunned that I have actually something positive and some insight to share actually this week, especially from a gaming point of view. I've truly enjoyed using this system. It doesn't feel like an exploit particularly, but the engine lends itself to possession, so why not work with it? It's a bit like trying to get Vincent Kompany and play him up front. If you do, so just if you play with defence, obviously it's going to work out better. Vincent Kompany being FIFA 16, FIFA 17, and him being a defence or striker being dribbling versus possession, if you want to take that analogy and run away with it.
You kind of ruined it with that shit analogy there.
Of course.
But it's funny. It's great that it's finally clicked into place for you. And it sounds like Ultimate Team's almost come full circle now, because when I first started playing Ultimate Team, FIFA 10, whatever it was, I played 4-3-1-2, which was all down the middle, and it was super effective. It was by far the dominant formation as far as I was concerned. But as they started beefing up players like Messi and Ronaldo, they worked more on making wing play more intricate and more effective, and that's sort of been the dominant go-to formation. So like 4-3-3 variants over the last 4 or 5 years. But the fact now that it's so dependent on decent dribbling, a bit of possession, and really good intricate passing means that all the play should go down the middle for the most part.
Yeah.
So it just makes perfect sense what you said. And I'm sure it's obviously dependent on having the right personnel as well. You need players who are decent dribblers and good passers to make this work really effectively. And then you still need to have a good clinical finisher up front. But it all sounds very logical when you break it down like that.
Yeah, it was all done in theory before I actually put it into practice, and it just happens to produce results.
Very good. So, is there any certain players you've used in the system who have really excelled?
David Blind.
Really? What, as a defender?
Yeah, David Blind's phenomenal.
Wow.
Because you don't get broken down that much, and you need to pass at the back. Daily Blind is lovely because he's got such high passing for a defender. It means you can actually pick the ball a bit more from defence. So it means that you don't just have to pick your left or right defender or pass back to your goalkeeper. You can actually ping it to a defensive midfielder or knock it to a right winger or a left winger as well.
Okay,
if they're open.
That's very interesting. So this is kind of the Pep Guardiola school of thought here. Being able
Absolutely is. I actually got this. You know where I got the idea from? Because I went to Man City in Barcelona and I watched how they played. And and what it was, one of the things that they do very well, and why I make it so wide, is because if you actually watch Barcelona or Man City, by the way, they do the same thing on TV. You don't get to see it because unless being live in the game meant that I could look at so much more than what just the ball was. And it's just interesting that it's just that the left fullback he's like on the touchline. The right fullback's on the touchline, and like Mascherano and Umtiti were like basically right next to them, and then Busquets moved back, and they became like a 5 at the back, basically.
Yeah, so the 5 at the back when they haven't got the ball, and then it goes 4-3-3 when they're attacking.
By the way, Busquets, what an absolutely phenomenal footballer he is. I know he's an absolute twat, but he's such an amazing footballer. Honestly, it was amazing watching Barcelona and Man City in the second half. They were incredible. All that Man City did was high press in the second half. It changed the whole game. It changed everything. It was dead impressive. But so that's where it all comes from. And that possession, you can see what it does to teams. Like, it just completely obliterates them. What we're talking about, obviously, it's an analogy of like football. You know, when we're not really playing football, we're playing FIFA. But it does borrow some elements from real life. It makes
sense, because if you look at it purely from an Ultimate Team point of view, and we break down the mechanics of the game, we know that stamina is super important in this game. And every pass you make, your players are using no stamina, and every time they're closing down the person trying to receive the ball, they're chasing and depleting their stamina. So the more passes you complete, the more knackered out their team gets, which later in the game gives you a massive advantage. So I always try and spend at least a 5 to 10 minute period in every match just keeping the ball and trying to get them to knacker out their quickest players, because they just try and chase down everything, which is stupid.
Absolutely. And so when I put all the system together and use that possession, what it also does is it helps people to make mistakes. It helps them to get desperate. And it also means that if you score, you've got the opportunity to keep more of the ball. And it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Like, obviously, there's a way to counter this system. It's not foolproof. I have lost matches with it. But when it comes together, it's nuts. I've never played FIFA like it. Like, literally, I was so in the zone when I was playing it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Okay, so give us an example of the type of midfielders you're using, because that's obviously the most important part. Because you want good passes at the back, so someone like Blind or Bonucci would be perfect.
Oh, Bonucci would be really good, you know.
Yeah, so who are you using in midfield?
Right, I'll tell you what the midfield is then. You're going to be surprised by one of them, but obviously I've used chemistry cards in the hopes that they actually do work. They seem to. Wanyama is my defensive midfielder. He's absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so he's just a rock by default, but a chemistry card, you've made him a bit more technical.
Did I use Engine? I've used Engine, I think. So that means he gets more pace, more dribble, and he gets more passing, which is not a great passer. He's a functional passer, and he's quite slow, and he's quite cumbersome.
Yeah, Busquets isn't that good in the game. He's not like Xavi and Iniesta passing, but he's high passing for a defensive midfielder.
Yeah. Busquets would be the perfect kind of person, actually, for this system, believe it or not. And then I use Fernandinho and either Pereira or Emre Can. This is all Premier League, by the way.
Yeah.
Emre Can's incredibly well-rounded. He's a must-have in a squad where you've got German players or Premier League players. And Pereira's absolutely phenomenal. But I've got Sentinel on him to boost his defence and the physics, because I don't think he needs it anywhere else.
Yeah. He's quick and good finisher, good dribbler, 4-star skills.
Yeah, he's got everything. He's a very, very nice midfielder. So he slots him lovely. And you can play him as a defensive midfielder if you like, because he's quite tenacious, but he's not as good defensively as Wanyama. And an attacking midfielder, I use Roberto Firmino. I love Firmino on this.
He's very popular on this.
Oh, he's so special.
Has good things to say about him, because, again, reasonably quick, but not rapid. But deadly finishing, good long shots, good dribbler. He's got a bit of stature for a cam. Yeah, I can see why you'd go for that one. Yeah,
he's not the quickest one, but he's phenomenal at everything. He's very well-rounded. He's a great finisher. And he's big. It does make a difference, especially if you have to knock it long, which I don't use long balls much in the system whatsoever. And then the two up top are Marcus Rashford and Michy Batshuayi. Batshuayi is absolutely awesome. I've got Hunter on Batshuayi, and that which makes him, like, ridiculous. He's really good. And my reserves for them are, I have Slimani, who comes on just in case he needs somebody to hold the ball. He doesn't start ever. He basically just always is there to be a lump. And then there's Callum Wilson. And there's another striker I've got, but I've forgotten who it is.
So what are your commands on the strikers, Rashford and the other one, Batshuayi?
Both of them get him behind.
Okay.
Stay central, get him. Oh, no. Rashford drifts wide. Batshuayi stays central, but they're both getting behind. Because that's the perfect thing for me, because if I've got possession in the final third, I just need them to move. I don't want them to stay still.
The great thing about playing through the middle as well is that when pace at the back's always difficult to get around. But if you're playing wingers, you're always going to be man for man against the teams who usually have really quick fullbacks. So players like Bellerin and Kyle Walker are just like ultra common in just about every team, and they will nullify what your wingers can do.
Yeah, they gobble them up.
A decent percent of the time. Even if you're really good, you're going to get the ball nabbed off you quite a lot by those rapid defenders. But if you play everything through the middle, you basically take the fullbacks out of the game entirely. They are serve no defensive purpose. So you best basically your entire midfield and your strikers up against two fullbacks a lot of the time. The best thing they could do would be go to 3-5-2 and cause you lots of trouble through the middle. But most people don't adjust once they start the game. They stick with it till the end. Yeah,
they don't adjust. And also, if they switch to 3-5-2, I can then just go ultra defensive if I want to, and just drop back then. And then if they get more in behind, fair enough. But they're so wide, the players are so wide at the back especially, that most of the time they do get head-on collisions with wingers. And the one thing I have noticed is that there's a lot many people who are good with wingers. So I used to feel like it's just me being not very good at the game, which will put my hands up and say to people. But it seems like a lot of people aren't great with wingers. Like when people get wingers now, they either cross or if they try and get inside, they're so easy to defend against. That's my experience. I'm sure there's some people out there who are phenomenal wingers.
During the opening weekend, people were just bombing down the byline with wingers to cross the ball in, so that works fine. But when you try and cut inside, all you're doing is bringing a player into the centre of the field who isn't actually suited to being in that area. Like, for instance, I play 4-1-4-1, and I have Quincy Promes and Jairzinho as my wide players, but I always bring them inside. So if I'm always bringing them inside, why don't I just play them through the middle anyway?
It's a good point, yeah. Why don't you play a 4-5-1 system instead?
Like, I would probably play 4-3-1-2 or 4-1-2-1-2 narrow like you're doing and see what happens there. Or, yeah, they're probably...
The worst thing that can happen is you can play Jairzinho as an attacking midfielder and you only get 7%. I'm sorry, he only gets to 7 can. He's still rapid, he's still a great dribbler.
Well, my best player, without a shadow of a doubt, is my one to watch, Juliano.
Oh God, yeah, you're going to play him as the attacking midfielder all
So
day.
the more play I can send through the middle and the more I can get him on the ball, the better. So I might make it a task for me over the next week to try out your logic and see if I can apply it.
I think you'll be able to take to it quite easily. I think anybody can, just for what it's worth. It's not that demanding of a system. It demands patience from you to dribble into the right places and keep possession. That's it. And once you do that, obviously some players are going to get the better of you, but when it really works, fuck me, it works so well because you're working with what this engine blesses you with. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't think there's anything controversial what I'm saying there.
No, it's all entirely logical, which is why it should make sense to hopefully everyone that's listening. So
I would love anybody to try it out. And if you think I've got it wrong, fair enough. Do let me know via Twitter.
The acid test for you is to qualify for the weekend league and see how it bodes there, because you are going to come up against part of the bus every game. Yeah,
I will. Obviously, it's not. I've not played weekend league with this system. That is a caveat. But yeah, I'm going to come up against much harder players who are a lot more tactically savvy. So I'm going to assume one of the big problems I'll have is that I won't be able to keep possession as well. And if I do go behind, then I'm not going to be able to...
I would disagree with that, because if they play, and this is from my experience of playing in a couple of weekend leagues now, part the bus, happy to concede possession and just get you on the counter-attack, which is how people have to play against these Barcelona-esque teams in real life anyway. So true. I think, although it will be more difficult, I think you could apply this to the weekend league and get some decent results. So I'd be very keen for you to try that out and let us know how you get on.
I'd love to. I will let you know this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. As I say, just hit us up on Twitter and let us know how you're getting on with it. I hope to give you a bit more in-depth on it if I still keep getting the right kind of results with it. Because there are certain tactics that I'm using within the system that I'm finding hard to articulate right now. And that's just because they're very natural for me. It's a very natural part of the system that I'm playing, but I can't find a way to actually articulate them. So let me have the opportunity to explain it to you badly, and then I can work on actually getting it so it sounds good and make it applicable for everybody.
Sounds good to me, Chief.
Okay, wonderful. So strategically, we're done. So that means we have to move on to actual FUT Champions itself. We've had a huge difference happen here. We've had a new schedule. Lots of things have changed. It seems like they've reacted to the market.
Yeah, I think they've bowed down to popular demand on this one, which is always a good thing. It's good that EA listen to what the public are demanding. And it's fair to say that for the average player, it was really difficult to qualify for FUT Champs. And it was probably a bit too time demanding for the average player to get anything good out of it. So what they've started doing is, not only do you get rewards per week for qualifying and participating in FUT Champs, but you also get a monthly reward now as well, based on how you rank amongst the elite. And it sounds like what they're actually going to give you is a guaranteed untradeable inform, depending on what bracket of rank you qualify in. So if you're a bronze rank, you'll get a bronze inform, silver inform, etc., and that'll be random, and you've probably got no chance of getting a good one. But it's just the fact that they're giving informs away is great. So big thumbs up there.
Yeah, that's a great time. More free content is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. They've also made it slightly easier, I think, to qualify for FUT Champs now. You've got more lives in qualification now, if that's the right word. So you get a certain amount of chances to qualify. If you get defeated, you go back to the beginning and you lose one of those lives. Now you've got more of them. And they've also extended the weekend of FUT Champions into Monday. So I think you've got 12 more hours to actually finish your games than you did before. So these are all really great touches. I got a couple of special kits in my reward packs, and last weekend I've got it's all red EA Sports kit with a gold trim, so it looks like the Russian international kit from a couple of years ago.
It's actually all right, this one. I got two of them.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why I got two, but I had to discard one, which was a shame.
Yeah, I had to discard one as well, which seems like they should introduce gifting, but they won't do because it gets so abused by people.
Yeah, sure. Of course it would. And the big thing, and this is where it really wins for me, if you reach gold 3 standard, which is the lowest gold rank, so I think you have to win something like 15 matches to get gold 3.
Okay.
You automatically qualify for next week's weekend league, so you don't have to go through the qualification process again. So if you're a decent, consistent FUT Champs player, you never have to go through qualifying, which then means that a massive amount of the very competitive player base won't be in qualifying. So people who play the qualifiers will find it easier to then qualify. So I think they've hit the nail on the head with this. This is thumbs up all around for me. There's no negative slides to this whatsoever. There's no ramifications from this. If they execute it as they've advertised it, it'll be fantastic. So well done, EA.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. I mean, more free content, more opportunity, that kind of thing. I love it. One of the things I've got to say is that obviously FUT Champions in the first instance, it's just very hard to qualify and get there and stay there. That's the one thing I would say. And you don't get as many opportunities as you should do. I mean, why they don't give people 12 chances, for example, would be, that's just one of them, isn't it? Like, why they don't give you 12 chances instead of whatever it is right now. It was 4 at one point. Like, but it's gone to like 7 or 8 now, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So
I don't know why they didn't give you more chances, but I guess it does need to have an element of elitism to it. I found it incredibly difficult to qualify for the weekend, I'll be honest with you, and that's because obviously struggled with the game up until this point as well against the best players, of which notably you will find in tournaments. It's where the nicest, sweatiest games happen, isn't it? If you're good at tournaments, you're exceptional at the game. It's as simple as that. So I'm glad that they've changed it around a bit and added more free content in. FIFA Ultimate Team now isn't necessarily becoming play to win, and I think testament to that is the fact that you mentioned earlier you got Crespo, which you saved up for. Yes, you did a lot of training to get that, but you haven't spent a penny other than you got the deluxe version, the super deluxe version like I did, so you get the premium gold packs, which are good value for money.
Yeah, mostly squad building challenges have paid for my Crespo.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Squad building challenges have been kind to me too.
So I had to get up to 750k. I've now got 100 or so left. So I'm rebuilding the bankroll, but my idea was I wanted to get an elite striker because I struggle for strikers in this game. Even if you find like a funky team from a strange league, typically speaking, they won't have amazing strikers. So I wanted to have a really good legend striker I could depend on for every team. So I identified Crespo as what I required. And yeah, I've got him, and I'm hoping I'll have like a 1,000-game career with him by the end of FIFA 17, and I'll be looking forward to seeing how well he does and whether I made the right decision by going all in on one player essentially. But yeah, he's going to get used in every single squad I make now, so it's probably going to work out decent value by the end of the season, arguably.
Oh yeah, I think he's going to work out for you. Do you remember last year? Obviously, not all of you listened to us last year when we were a Futhead, but you hypothesized at one point, like, actually, I play so much with the same players all the time, so why don't I just use like Suarez, get like the best possible player I can for the system that I want? And it didn't work out, actually. You didn't find him good value for money. You must have spent a couple of million on him easily. It was like the 95 rated, if I remember right.
I can't remember, but yeah, I blew my wad on him and it didn't improve my results enough to justify it, so I sold him and made money on it, so that was okay. But I think it's important to get a player that gives you an edge early on in the life cycle of the game, not just picking up like really good informs right at the end when no one gives a shit and there's nothing left to achieve. The fact that I've got a Crespo now in week 7 or 8 means I've got a whole year to potentially dominate people, particularly in the weekend league. You need to be as competitive as possible. And whilst I've achieved modest results with my RPL team with Artem Zuba up front, and people don't like playing against him because he's awkward, I need something better to get into the gold ranks. So I think Crespo should fire me there.
So with that, which chemistry card are you going to put on it?
I've actually put on Architect, which is controversial.
Ooh, that is bloody controversial. What's wrong with you?
Right, so his dribbling and finishing skills are already sky high, so adding to that would be fine, but I thought points are better used elsewhere. So I wanted to boost his strength a little bit because I like to hold up the ball up, and he only had like low 70s for strength, so he's like in the 80 odd now for that. And also because I'm holding up the ball, I want him to be good at passing, so he's now an incredibly gifted passer, so he's like Suarez-esque link-up man up front as well as a deadly finisher. And that's to go with 4-star weak foot and 4-star skill. So he was already super sharp in front of goal. Now he's much more well-rounded and can do just about everything up front. Great in the air, great at passing, stronger than he was. So I might change it later because it only costs a couple of hundred. So if I change my mind and want more finishing or something else, that's fine. But for the time being, given that I play 4-1-4-1 and like to hold up with the striker and bring attacking midfielders into play, I'm going with Architect and seeing how we get on with that.
Well, you explained yourself beautifully because that's very logical and makes perfect sense. And Crespo is already good anyway. Crespo is already a fantastic player. His stats are awesome.
Yeah, he is. And I would definitely encourage anyone who's going to splurge a large sum of money on a player to go onto Futhead and see what they look like with certain chemistry cards applied, because you'll be surprised at the little boost you can get for such a relatively small amount.
Yeah, I mean, I've only used Hunter on Michi Batshuayi, I really pronounce his name, because it makes perfect sense for him. He's got a decent amount of dribbling, he's got high physicals, and then he becomes, and he gets 90 acceleration, 90 sprint speed with Hunter. And he gets amazing finishing. He gets like 99 for position, something like that. Anyway, it becomes incredible. But a lot of the time, I use Sniper for players because I want to boost more on dribbling and shooting, actually, than I do pace. Because a lot of the time, they're quick enough anyway. So you've got to be looking at it this way, haven't you? So it's probably a good time for us to talk about the chemistry cards. As a quick review before we have a little debate, do you think myth, or do you think they are a hit? Hit or myth?
Historically speaking, I've always thought they're a bit of a placebo.
Yes, me too, but we know why that is. Because
and now, because of Kemgate last season, it was perfectly justified. However, this season, they've been upfront about it. They've published all the details on exactly what benefits you get from applying certain chemistry cards. Now, I would dare say that I've seen a difference in players. I'm not convinced that if I put Hunter on Artem Zuba, he suddenly becomes as quick as Aubameyang. It just doesn't happen. And that's probably to do with his weight, his height, and his strength slow him down by default. But boosts are definitely there. I'm just not entirely sure they are as powerful as what the stuff on Foothead, for instance, leads us to believe. They seem, if you genuinely got those kind of boosts from putting Hunter on someone, Hunter cards would be 10k a pop in my eyes. Everyone would use them on every single player without a shadow of a doubt, and they don't. So people out there generally, I don't think, believe that chemistry cards have the effect that is advertised. I'm saying they do to a point. I don't see the full benefits, or sometimes you can misapply something. So if you put Hunter on a 6'5" centre forward, he's not going to be as quick as you want him to be. You would have been better putting Hawk on them, or Sniper, or Finisher, or something like that. You have to try and accentuate the stats that suit the style of play of that player more. So trying to turn a 6'5" striker into a speedster won't work.
Yeah, putting Slimani, for example, I'll put Finisher on him because he's never going to be super quick. But the difference between being an 80 pace to a 90 pace is quite something. So I have to say that I put Hunter on Batshuayi and I found him to be absolutely incredible. He's fast, he's quick, and he's an incredible finisher. And I've used Sniper on Rashford, and that helps with him immensely. He's just unbelievably good. So I'm sure there is a placebo to it, because Rashford's not exactly bad as he is anyway. However, having used Batshuayi before I put the Hunter card on and use it now, there does seem to be a difference. So I'm happy for there to be a difference. The debate about how much that difference actually translates into a real life difference in a game is open to debate. I agree with that part.
Yeah, so if it's open to debate, let's get the listeners involved. Hit us up at FUTStock on Twitter and let us know what your experience of using chemistry cards are. Do you have a particular favourite that you like to go to, particularly for your strikers? Do you think they're as effective as advertised when you apply them on Foothead and you get to see the little preview of what their skills are going to be like with that chemistry card applied? Just let us know what you think, because we're having sort of mixed results at this point. I definitely feel there's a benefit. I'm not entirely sure it's as good as they make it out to be, or maybe it's just a case of, like we say, we're applying the wrong chemistry cards to a predefined skill set. You can't change the fact that a 6'5" striker is tall, strong, and slow. He's never going to be quick, per se.
Very true. With that, Metz, it's time for your marquee matchup predictions. And also, there's been a delay in the player of the month. So which one do you want to tackle first?
So let's just tackle player of the month. So we're sticking by our prediction from the last episode that Joe Allen will get player of the month. There's a very good case that Hazard might get it, although a lot of people are making the mistake that EA choose player of the month, and that's not the case. It's done by the Premier League. They have a special panel who choose it. And given everything that Eden Hazard has achieved in the Premier League over the years, he's never won player of the month before, which is kind of odd.
That is odd.
But it just goes to show that they don't necessarily give it to marquee players. They're genuinely trying to pick out who's had the best month. And the stats speak for themselves. In October, Joe Allen had the most combined goals and assists. He dragged Stoke single-handedly out the relegation zone into mid-table. There's a big swell of goodwill for Joe Allen because of his exploits in the European Championships. So we're banking on him getting it. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the official result of that, and therefore won't get any special squad builder for it until after the international break. So I think it's the 14th or 15th of November. So we've still got another week or so to go before we know for definite. But if you want to play your cards super safe, get a few Welsh players, get a few Belgians, a few Chelsea players, a few Lille players, if you want to go for Hazard and Allen, and see where the chips fall. We're going all in on the Welsh, but we need to wait till the next episode to find out for absolutely certain. So to this week's marquee matchups. Now,
yes.
Difficult because it's an international weekend and there's a lot of big fixtures out there. We've got a few that we're going to run by you as potentials. A couple of them are dead cert. So if we start at the dead certs, England v Scotland.
I think that's a dead cert.
That's Friday night. One of the biggest historical international fixtures in existence. And I think they've played each other for a while. So that'll be very interesting. It's taking place at Wembley. So I think there'll be a need to stock up on a few English and a few Scottish players there. They could be cheeky and demand that you require an inform. hopefully not. But just make sure you've got all bases covered there. Another dead cert, I think, is USA-Mexico, probably the biggest fixture in CONCACAF.
USA-Mexico is a huge one, not least of all because the huge Donald Trump won the election. And there's a bit of tension between USA and Mexico. Don't know why.
Yeah. If you can actually get over the Texan border to Mexico, good luck to you. But we think that'll be one of the deserts. And then we've got a few speculative fixtures. So in the African Cup of Nations qualifying, Egypt v Ghana, two of the biggest teams on the continent. So we think that might be one. Japan v Saudi Arabia. Arguably,
I think that could be good, because Japan's a new league, Saudi Arabia's a league. I think it's going to be in.
That will be the dark horse of the ones, because when we do these marquee fixtures, there's always one or two fixtures that we couldn't predict that sneak in. That one is a bit more predictable, but it's not super obvious. But that's probably the biggest fixture in Asian football. So Japan, Saudi Arabia, we think will be there. And then the other potential is Brazil v Argentina. Definitely the biggest game in South America. But there's also, during this same international break, Argentina play Colombia. So EA have left some surprising fixtures out of marquee fixtures so far this year, purely because they're probably going to put them in later in the season for the reverse fixture.
Yes.
So whether all these happen this weekend or not remains to be seen. But if you want to try and plan ahead, try and get some discard price, Brazilians, Argentines, Japanese, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ghana, England, Scotland, just have all bases covered there. But that's what we're looking at for this weekend.
I think it's all good shouts. I'm going to put some money on Japan, Saudi Arabia. Why not? I'd love to have a J-League team anyway. I need to have a possession team and Nakamura as the attacker midfielder, don't I? So I can ping in free kicks and make people tilt. Why not?
Why not, indeed.
So, Metz, it's time for our
Novelty Player
of the Week. Metz, this is actually a shout from one of our very loyal Twitter followers, Matthew Vernal. Or Vernal, don't know how to pronounce it.
Wow, that was very exotic. I'm sure.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll appreciate the shout out. Hi Matthew, how's it going? Yes, I'm talking to you for the power of the internet. Is it Boogie or is it Matt Aguilera? You decide. So, Metz, you're the guys on the research on this one. You're very, very excited by him. I think it might be because of the team he plays for and the fact that he is a legend of a league that you love so much. So why don't you tell us about our novelty inform of the week in a form of a striptease?
Okay, so it's a Serie A striker we're going for, and this is from last week's Team of the Week 7. We'll cover Team of the Week 8 next episode. And it was a really good Team of the Week, so there wasn't too many what I would call bona fide novelty picks, but this one kind of falls in there because his default card is terribly unfancied.
It's rubbish.
Almost certainly wouldn't get used in regular Ultimate Team, but now he's on his second in form. The card is suitably plump and right for the picking.
Plump.
So we've taken a bang average striker, put 2 upgrades on it, and a chemistry card, and we now have a godlike striker. We're referring to Lazio's Ciro Immobile.
Ciro Immobile, what a strange name for a player who's actually very mobile.
He's far from immobile now, isn't he?
He really is.
So let's get into the meat and bones of it. So he's had a sticky couple of years after transferring from, I think it was Torino, wasn't it, to Dortmund. Now he's back in Serie A playing for Lazio, banging the goals in. I think he had a week 1 in form and now has another one. And
he does.
The default card is very nice. He has, basically, if he's on 100 chemistry, 86 pace, 92 shooting, and 88 dribbling. So if we go down into the specific stats, 91 for jumping. He has 92 reactions, 97 shot power, 95 finishing. And then if you whack Hawk on it, and this is the recommendation we got from Matthew, the guy becomes a god striker. Absolute 90 plus for acceleration and sprint speed, 95 finishing, 99 shot power, 92 long shots, 95 volleys, 96 positioning. you get the picture. And very strong as well, 86 for strength. So he's like a perfect centre forward at this point. The only drawback with him is he only has 3-star skills, but if you play the way you recommend people play, holding up the ball, going through the middle, it's not so much of a big deal.
Yeah, it'd be nice for him to have it, but he's got everything. He's got everything else going for him.
He really does. For one, Serie A has a plethora of really good centre-forward options, given how many informs have been in Serie A so far this season. So you have Mandzukic, you have Immobile, you have Dybala, Dzeko. Loads of options. I think this is probably the best one. And it's a little bit cheeky of us to declare this as the novelty inform of the week because he will cost you 45k. But I would say it's cheap given what you're getting out of it. He's really, really good.
Well, let's just say he was called Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He'd be going for like 500,000 as his normal card. This is a second inform, and it's phenomenal value for money because they've put +5 on the actual card itself. It's gone from 80 to 85, which is good, really. Back in the old days, this would be an 81 to 82.
That's right, yeah. So potentially the best striker in Serie A, which is always definitely the best budget league to build teams for. And if you have just that little bit extra bit of coinage, 45k well spent on this one. That could be a striker that could last you the whole game.
I think he's absolutely frigging phenomenal. I'm trying to think of a way to include him because I do have a Serie A team, but I'm using a slightly different system now, so I'm not sure how it's going to work. But my God, with Hawk especially, I mean, with Hunter, he becomes absolutely monstrous, by the way. He gets 99 positioning, 99 finishing, 99 shot power.
He goes, some of the stats lose value, like diminishing returns, because he goes beyond 99 for most of them, so you're not getting the full benefit if you use Hunter. But Hawk spreads out the skills between passing, shooting, and physicals, so you're getting a better spread, and none of his stats get maxed out, but they're all very high.
But the main thing is his acceleration sprint speed goes to
90 plus. So,
95 and 97.
And because he's only 6 foot, you'll feel the true benefit of that strength and pace. So
I mean, he's 91 with Hawk, and of course Hawk goes for barely anything. Hunter goes for about 4k now, doesn't he?
Yeah, something like that. They're all pretty cheap, apart from Hunter.
They're all cheap apart from Hunter, basically, which is quite strange. No reason not to go out and buy one.
Yeah, absolutely. Really appreciate Matthew making the suggestion to us. It wasn't a card I'd actually had a look at until he recommended it to us. So you can take credit for this week's Novelty Player of the Week if you like, Matthew. So get out there, give him a try. Let Matthew Vernal on Twitter know what you think. But that is our Novelty Player of Week 7.
Fantastic. Metz, with that conclusion, that's the end of another show.
That was absolutely great. And we didn't moan about anything.
We didn't moan about anything.
Apart from Infinite Warfare.
Oh yeah, Infinite Warfare. We took 20 seconds of time to say Infinite Warfare is complete plot. And Modern Warfare Remastered isn't way of getting because you've got to get the Infinite Warfare as well. But aside from that, it's been lovely. So Metz, I need to thank you for coming along.
Yeah, I really enjoyed coming along. I had no cop blocking or anything this week. It was great.
Fantastic. So I think it's time for you to see us out with your patented yet stolen goodbye.
And this folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of FUTStock. And of course, don't have nightmares. We'll catch you next week.
See you and thank you.
Thanks, bye.